Typhoon Yagi hits Hainan, causing severe damage. Yunnan construction workers protest unpaid wages. Over 1,000 taxi drivers strike in Xiangyang, Hubei. Woman claims that tooth was found in Sam's Club Mooncake. Taiwan hospital stay costs Chinese tourist only 93 RMB. Panic buying, eating, and drinking in Henan supermarket. Typhoon Yagi, the 11th super typhoon of this year, made landfall at 4:20 p.m. on September 6 in Wenchang City, Hainan province. At landfall, winds were about 245 kilometers per hour, or 68 meters per second, bringing powerful winds and heavy rain. In Haikou, a grove of banyan trees in the city center was severely damaged. Thick trees snapped in half, and some were even uprooted by the fierce winds. Huge tree canopies blocked the streets. Some coconut trees also fell on the roads, with a few landing on vehicles, crushing their roofs. Some people in Haikou said, "The buildings are shaking." Windows from tall buildings were blown away like pieces of paper, and people were almost sucked out. One woman carrying her child evacuated to a lower floor because her building was shaking so much that her child felt dizzy. In the city, glass windows were shattered by the strong winds, with fragments flying through the air. A large shopping center on Renmin Avenue had its billboards blown away, and storefront shutters twisted under the pressure. Some merchandise was scattered all over the streets. Old houses had their roofs ripped off, with tiles flying everywhere. A seaside building had its balcony railing broken by the wind, crashing down from the 4th floor. Rows of steel window frames and glass were destroyed and scattered on the streets. On September 4th, as Typhoon Yagi approached Hainan's eastern coast, sea temperatures reached 30 degrees Celsius, and the typhoon's wind circle had a diameter of over 500 kilometers, covering a massive area. It brought ongoing winds and heavy rain. The coastlines in Shanghai experienced waves over 10 meters high, creating deafening roars. Areas like Zhonghai, Wenchang, and Wanning were hit hardest by the typhoon. When it made landfall, Typhoon Yagi was terrifyingly strong. From satellite images, the typhoon's eye was perfectly round, showing it was a classic super typhoon. China's National Meteorological Center issued the highest level of typhoon warning, red alert. Over 410,000 people in Hainan had been evacuated as a precaution. Yagi is the strongest typhoon to hit Hainan and southern China in the past 10 years. Trains, ferries, and flights were suspended for the second day in a row. Authorities also ordered schools to close, and businesses and tourist attractions to shut down. The Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge was temporarily closed as well. When the typhoon hit on September 6, seawater flooded into coastal areas. Several cities and counties in Hainan experienced serious urban flooding, with farmlands submerged and roads blocked. Preliminary statistics show that over 30 flood-prone areas were reported in Haikou alone, with water depths reaching over 1 meter on some streets, trapping many vehicles and bringing traffic to a standstill. In Zhonghai and Wenchang, the typhoon triggered landslides and mudslides, causing multiple homes to collapse and hundreds of acres of farmland to flood. In Tanyu Town, Wenchang City, a landslide caused by heavy rain left 3 people missing, and several others were injured. Some villages were completely isolated due to road collapses, leaving residents stranded. Typhoon Yagi also severely damaged power, communication, and water infrastructure across Hainan. By 4 p.m. on September 6, over 200,000 households were without power. Many communication towers were affected, causing outages in some areas. The typhoon left a trail of destruction, tearing apart buildings, trees, and coastal landscapes. Trees along Haikou's Binhai Avenue shook violently, with thick coconut trees uprooted and trunks broken. Rows of trees were knocked down, and low-lying bushes were flattened by the wind. Even tall street lamps were bent and twisted. Streets looked like battle zones, with people struggling to stand as they clung to trees. Electric scooters were overturned, and in one video, a car was seen rolling down the street while air conditioning units were torn from buildings. The entire scene was chaos. The typhoon dealt a heavy blow to Hainan's agriculture. Fields of rice, corn, and tropical fruits, all in the harvest season, were badly damaged. On September 5th, in Zhaotong, Yunnan, a group of construction workers, frustrated after not receiving their wages, went to the entrance of the Zhaotong city government to seek help from city leaders. However, they were blocked by a large group of police, leading to a tense standoff and even clashes. One worker said they've been trying to get their issue resolved for over 20 days, but still haven't received any response. The workers complained that the government gate is only open to the wealthy and officials, and they aren't allowed in. They added that they weren't afraid of being arrested, saying, "We can't even live normally. What do we have to fear from being arrested?" The workers demanded to meet with the city's party secretary and wanted the issue to be resolved together with government leaders and the complaints office. One worker said, "We don't want to cause trouble here, but we haven't received any pay since last August. I have 3 kids at home. If the government didn't pay your salary for half a year, how would you feel?" These workers have been petitioning the government for over 20 days, but no solution has been provided yet. Across China, wage delays for workers have become increasingly common. While workers labor tirelessly, they often don't receive their hard-earned pay, making it difficult for their families to survive. Many wage protests have occurred recently, but instead of helping the workers, the Chinese government has labeled their actions as malicious wage demands, frequently sending police to disrupt and suppress their efforts. On September 4th, in Langfang, Hubei, a project owed migrant workers 3.6 million yuan in wages, and all the local town government officials had disappeared. Mr. Gao, the contractor for the Changxing Commercial City project, advanced funds to start construction, but still hasn't received payment after completing the project. Mr. Sun, the project's developer, explained that while the bank approved the funds in July, the local government directed the money to a private company's account, Baozhou Bofeitong Instrument Company Limited, claiming it was a regulatory account. When asked about the wages, they simply didn't pay. Sun said, "We didn't sign any 3-party agreement with that company and have no idea who they are." On September 4th, a violent clash broke out between construction workers demanding wages and security guards at the Huizhou Ganghui Shopping Center in Guangdong. The local government officials remain missing, and no response has been given as of now. On August 29th, construction workers at the high-tech industrial park in Zhaoqing, Guangdong, blocked the government entrance and confronted the police, demanding their pay. The workers shouted, "Bring the mayor to talk with us." On September 2nd, in Taolin Town, Jiangsu, sanitation workers who hadn't been paid for months went to the town government to demand their wages. A netizen commented, "They can't even pay the sanitation workers' wages, but they're so eager to throw money at Africa." From August 31st to September 1st, in Guangmingnu District, Shenzhen, Guangdong, employees of the J&T Express who hadn't been paid went on strike for 2 consecutive days. They blocked the entrance to the sorting center with trucks, preventing the company from continuing operations. On August 27th, in Tianhe District, Guangzhou, construction workers from the Guangzhou Metro Line 11 project blocked the roads to demand their wages. On August 31st, workers from a China State construction project in Huadu District, Guangzhou, also protested over unpaid wages. The editor at Key China Truth commented that the financial difficulties in paying workers, even for local infrastructure projects, highlight China's current economic challenges. On September 3rd, in Xiangyang, Hubei, thousands of taxi drivers went on strike to protest the local government's forced removal of their operating rights. The incident was triggered when a taxi was seized on Dongfang Avenue, sparking a citywide strike among taxi drivers. Some drivers also gathered on Dongfang Avenue to show support for the driver whose car was impounded. According to several drivers, the Xiangyang government recently demanded that taxi drivers unconditionally transfer their operating rights to a shell company and force them to sign contracts with this company. The drivers collectively resisted this move. In response, the local government deployed transport officials to intercept and seize taxis on the roads, pressuring the drivers to comply. Drivers took to social media to express their anger and frustration. One driver explained, "We are protesting because the government wants us to hand over our operating rights to a company for free. One taxi was seized because the driver didn't sign the contract, and many of us came to support him. It's like buying a house, and when you go to register the property, the management asks to put it under their name." Another driver said, "We paid hundreds of thousands for our cars, and now they're forcing us to sign them over to their company. If we don't, they intercept us on the roads and seize our vehicles. Is this reasonable? Where's the fairness? Where is the justice?" A netizen commented, "Facing a life-or-death situation, thousands of taxi drivers have shown bravery in their resistance." In today's China, systemic injustice inevitably leads to protests from various social classes, and collective rights protests are becoming more frequent. One netizen remarked, "The ruling class ignores the people suffering and allows corruption to run rampant. If the people aren't afraid of death, what can be done to scare them? Resistance will intensify, spreading like wildfire." On August 28th, Freedom House, a U.S.-based nonprofit, released a report from its China Dissent Monitor project. The report revealed that rights protests, such as gatherings and petitions, increased by 18% in the second quarter of this year, compared to the same period last year. In recent years, China's economy has severely declined, leading to waves of unemployment, company closures, wage cuts, and delayed wages across the country. The surge in protests is largely tied to economic issues, including unfinished real estate projects, housing fraud, unpaid wages for migrant workers and shopkeepers, deposit and financial fraud, medical accidents, healthcare fraud, pay cuts for teachers, difficulties in school enrollment, pensions, unfair retirement benefits, strikes by delivery workers, truck drivers, ride-sharing drivers, taxi drivers, and more. Despite the Chinese authorities' efforts to suppress information, people still manage to share news through various social media platforms. Analysts suggest that with the Chinese government facing internal and external difficulties, and as society becomes more economically strained, the growing resistance from the public could challenge the regime and push it into crisis. A consultant for a Taiwanese think tank, Wu Sezhi, commented, "The data compiled by Freedom House and the patterns of the protests currently happening within China clearly show that people have reached their breaking point amid economic decline. This is why we are seeing so many protests." He further noted, in the long run, there is a high possibility that the CCP's regime could collapse due to economic struggles or social unrest. On September 4th, a woman from Jiangsu posted a video revealing that she found a tooth in a fresh meat mooncake purchased from Sam's Club. It was unclear whether the tooth was from a human or an animal, which left many people deeply unsettled. On September 29, 2023, another shocking video emerged. A woman dining at a restaurant in Guangxi recorded footage of a piece of meat being pierced by a steel nail in her rib soup. She was so frightened that she immediately filmed the evidence and later uploaded it online, scaring many viewers. Some netizens speculated that the nail was a type used in orthopedic surgeries. Many questioned the appearance of the nail, pointing out that the four-sided shape of the nail head is often used in orthopedic surgery for better grip, and some even confirmed that the long nail shown in the video was a common titanium nail used in surgeries. Titanium, known for its colorless, tasteless, stable, and corrosion-resistant properties, is widely used in medical procedures, especially in orthopedic surgeries, where titanium nails and supports are common. Due to the high cost of titanium nails, they are rarely used in animal surgeries. Currently, food safety in mainland China remains a major concern. Some consumers have found foreign objects like insects, hair, plastic, and steel wires in their food. In March 2023, Mr. Tsai purchased 2 boxes of children's carrot and shrimp dumplings only for his child to find plastic-like debris inside one of the dumplings. In July 2022, a customer named Dong ordered a bowl of hot and sour noodles through a food delivery app in Xiangyang City. While eating, he discovered a cockroach in his meal, which made him feel sick and vomit. He later sued the restaurant. In March 2022, Ms. Zhu from Chengdu bought a bottle of Sichuan chili sauce from an online supermarket, but 2 months later, she found what appeared to be a piece of cloth about the width of 2 thumbs inside the jar. On October 14, 2020, Mr. Zhang found a dead insect in his meal while dining at a noodle shop in Yunnan City. Finding foreign objects in food can be as minor as ruining a customer's appetite or as serious as posing a health risk. Recently, a couple in Taiwan took their sick child to the hospital, where the child stayed for 6 days and even underwent surgery. When it came time to settle the bill, they were shocked to find that the total cost was only 408 new Taiwan dollars, less than $13 US. The total covered everything: hospital stay, surgery, anesthesia, and cleaning fees. Out of the 408 NTD, 100 NTD was for renting blankets. The parents were both surprised and delighted. To put this into perspective, 408 NTD is equivalent to 93 RMB, and if you exclude the blanket rental, the total cost for 6 days of hospitalization and surgery was only 70 RMB. In the video, the parents' faces were filled with joy and surprise. In contrast, in mainland China, a similar hospital stay and surgery would likely cost thousands of RMB. Let's take a look at what netizens have shared about their medical expenses in mainland China. One netizen said, "I spent all day transferring my elderly relative from the respiratory department to gynecology. Medical care is so expensive now. In 4 days, we used up to 20,000 RMB in deposits and had to add another 2,300 RMB. For the gynecology hospitalization, we had to pay a 50,000 RMB deposit, and I'm guessing they won't let us leave until we spend it all." Another netizen posted on May 24, 2022. "The results of exhausting healthcare funds on COVID testing and vaccines. I stayed in the hospital for 4 days and had to pay 550,000 RMB out of pocket, while only 570 RMB was covered by insurance. Please tell your friends and family in China to save up for medical expenses. The insurance they've been paying into all their lives has been drained by free COVID tests and vaccines." Another patient shared that after staying in the hospital for 8 days, the total cost was over 430,000 RMB, with insurance covering 390,000. However, they still had to pay nearly 40,000 RMB out of pocket. A netizen from Henan revealed that their child was hospitalized for a cold for 8 days, with a total cost of over 16,000 RMB. Of that, over 3,000 RMB was for tests, and nearly 5,000 RMB was for lab fees, meaning half of the total cost, over 8,000 RMB, was spent on diagnostics rather than delivering treatment. Their insurance reimbursed 40%, leaving the family to pay nearly 12,000 RMB out of pocket. A netizen commented, "How can you justify unifying Taiwan? How can you make the Taiwanese people enjoy the same life as mainlanders?" On the afternoon of September 4th, rumors circulated online that Xingfu Wanjia supermarket was about to close down. Many customers with remaining balances on their shopping rushed to the store, fearing that their card balances would become invalid. Customers flooded the supermarket, clearing the shelves of goods. Video footage from the scene shows the chaos inside the store, with customers holding large bags of products, leaving the shelves almost entirely empty. Some customers openly ate food from the supermarket, grabbing bread and drinks to consume on the spot, while others were seen opening bottles of liquor and drinking it right in front of the alcohol counter. Ms. Liu witnessed the scene. She said, "It was extremely chaotic. You could hear people running everywhere, trying to spend the money on their shopping carts as quickly as possible. The checkout lines were completely blocked, and some people were sitting on the floor, eating and drinking. I've never seen anything like it." In response to the chaos, the supermarket staff quickly addressed the situation. A store manager clarified, "We are not closing down, and the supermarket is operating as usual. Today's situation was caused by false rumors, which led to customer panic. We will continue normal operations, and there's no issue with product supply. We urge everyone to shop rationally." Despite the store's clarification, the frenzied buying spree had left the supermarket shelves bare. Many staff members mentioned that they would be working overtime to restock the shelves that night. A netizen commented, "This is truly eye-opening. I've never seen people eating and drinking while frantically buying products. The supermarket probably wasn't planning to shut down, but after this, they might." Another netizen jokingly added, "They even drank the liquor. These people didn't come to play around. Let's hope the supermarket can survive this."